Breaking news out of Florida. Florida governor and current U.S. Senate candidate Rick Scott and his campaign are preparing legal action on the Florida recount, which has put this election on hold in terms of the outcome of at least 3 races now. This happening as the process of recounting ballots in all 67 counties is underway for the first time in Florida history. This is a live look inside the Broward County Supervisor of Elections office, where voting machines are sorting ballots, and soon the recounting of those votes will begin. The vote totals for governor and the U.S. Senate races are less than half a percentage point, forcing now this recount. Let's get the very latest now from CNN's Ryan Nobles, who is in Tallahassee for us. So, Ryan, tell us more about these lawsuits filed by Rick Scott.
Yeah, Fred, and we even have some more information since the last time that we spoke. All right, let me first tell you about these lawsuits. 3 different lawsuits filed by Rick Scott's campaign. They're directed at the supervisors of elections in Broward and in Palm Beach County. The first is directly against Brenda Snipes, who's the supervisor of elections there. It's accusing her of counting ballots after the noon deadline on Saturday, and saying that she did that illegally against Florida law. So they're trying to prevent those votes from being counted in the overall total. And then there are 2 other lawsuits, one dealing with Broward County, the other with Palm Beach County, that requests that Florida sheriffs and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement impound any ballot and machine involved in the counting while the counting is not happening. So that would mean if they take a break for any reason or after the recount is all over. And since we last reported this news, we do now have a statement in, Fred, from Senator Bill Nelson himself. This actually just hit my inbox, so I'm going to read it for you now. It says, quote, "If Rick Scott wanted to make sure every legal ballot is counted, he would not be suing to try and stop voters from having their legal ballot counted as intended. He's doing this for the same reason he's been making false and panicked claims about voter fraud. He's worried that when all the votes are counted, he'll lose this election. We will not allow him to undermine the democratic process, and we will use every legal tool available to protect the rights of Florida voters." So that comes directly from Senator Bill Nelson. We haven't heard that much from Senator Nelson since the election. He's only given one video statement and has been even quiet in terms of paper statements like this one I just read. So this is a strong reaction from the Nelson campaign as we get this new information about these lawsuits. Fred, we don't anticipate that these lawsuits will have any real tangible impact on the recount, but we'll have to see what a judge says when they hear these lawsuits and if that does change the course of this. But at this point right now, a lot of back and forth between these campaigns as this historic recount is really just beginning. Fred?
And then, Ryan, is Scott's campaign saying anything more about how it knows? I mean, what has it discovered in this accusation that the, supervisor, Brenda Snipes, counted votes after the noon deadline yesterday, when noon was the deadline for all of the precincts, all of the counties to get those numbers in? How do they know that in their accusation?
Yeah, I mean, they do. Yeah, exactly. In the lawsuit, they do provide some explanation as to why they believe that this took place. But Fred, I do have to tell you, just from my own experience in covering elections and counting ballots, it's not as if ballots are separated and put in different boxes by the from where they're counted at any given time. Florida does make some precautions for the difference between a provisional ballot versus a mail-in ballot versus a ballot that's actually filed at the actual jurisdiction. But I do think that this may be a difficult thing for a judge to rule on, and that's just from my own personal experience covering vote counts like this. A lot of this, Fred, and I think we do have to caution our viewers, a lot of this is theater from both sides, designed to make one side look like they're being more in the interest of voters versus the other side being more in the interest of voters. So, a judge is going to have a look at this. The judge is the one that will make the final decision, but this is just another page in this new story being written about Florida politics.
All right, and even with these lawsuits filed now, the recounting continues, and the deadline for that is this Thursday, 3 p.m. All right, thank you so much, Ryan Nobles. Appreciate it.